Hi, my name is Sebrina Woodland, and I am a therapist here at Cache Valley Counseling. And I'm excited to record this lesson tonight. This unit that we're talking about right now is about self-improvement. So I picked a topic that's pretty applicable in my own life and hopefully helpful to you too. And that is learning assertiveness. I know that even this term can tend to feel a little bit charged and even a little bit like not necessarily all positive. So the first thing I want to talk about is like, what is your definition of assertiveness? For me, what assertiveness means is to clearly and confidently communicate your needs and your wants. So hopefully, as you think about what it means to you, I'll go through kind of some of the positives, some of the negatives that people associate with assertiveness. I think sometimes when someone says assertive, they think pushy or bossy or aggressive, or maybe you just think assertive means confident, self-assured, getting what you want, going after what you want. Sometimes it can be associated with like power dynamics. And so and sometimes it's something that we're maybe a little bit scared of. So a lot of times I will a little bit talk from a lens as a woman, and I think assertiveness does feel different to a woman than it feels to a man. But I think all the things I'll be talking about tonight can definitely apply to both men and women. Um, so one of the things that I think is important to talk about with assertiveness is what are the feelings that we experience when we are able to confidently express what we need and what we want, and what are the feelings and kind of the actions when we aren't able to. So when some of the emotions that come up, if you're feeling like I can freely express what I want, what I need, um, then you're going to feel peace. You're going to feel confident. You're also going to feel connected to the people around you because you feel like you can express yourself and also listen to them. Um, as far as your actions, you're going to feel empowered. Like you can take action towards your goals. You can move in the direction you would like to go because you see a way through, and the obstacles to get there don't seem as large when you know you can communicate and perhaps be persuasive in getting your needs met. As far as the things that we feel often when we are not able to communicate what we need or even be aware of what we need, which we'll visit in a few minutes, some of those emotions when we're not able to communicate what we need and what we want is we can feel sad, we can feel discouraged, we can feel resentful, angry, even a little bit hopeless, and even confused. Maybe we don't even know what we want and discouraged. As far as our actions, when we're not able to express what we need and what we want, we tend to feel stuck or even a little paralyzed, whether it's in our relationship, in our career, in our family dynamics, in our friendships as well. Um, so you feel afraid, you feel maybe nervous to say what you need. You don't know how it's going to be received. And sometimes we're not even sure what the problem is. We just know we don't feel hopeful and we don't feel like we are motivated and excited about life, not even being aware that that's because our needs are actually not being met, and maybe we don't even really know or want to think about what our real needs are. Um, so what tends to happen from also from a behavior standpoint sometimes is when we're in our relationships at home, whether it's with our families or with our partner, when we don't have what we need and we don't know how to communicate effectively to receive what we need, we can also either become withdrawn or disconnected, like I talked about, or we can even like resort to more manipulation tactics, like being passive aggressive or using guilt or blaming or stonewalling, not talking to people because we're angry. instead of being able to express what we actually do need and feel confident in getting that. Or we can even be aggressive and get angry and direct that anger towards the people around us, which is not something we want to do. So when I'm talking tonight, a lot of the information I am using, I get from a book that I have really enjoyed reading and that I like in my own life, and I also use with clients. I'm just going to hold it up to the camera. It's right here, and it's called The Assertiveness Guide. And now it's backwards on the camera, but The Assertiveness Guide for Women. It's by Julie Diazevedo Hanks. She is a therapist herself and also a PhD. She writes a lot. She does a lot of podcasts, and this book is a pretty like just nice basic guide to kind of define assertiveness and help you to build that awareness and those skills within yourself. So the ideas I'm going to be using when I'm talking are from that book. So I just want to give that credit to her. And these are things that have been really helpful that I've been putting into practice, both for myself, for my family members, and also with clients as well. So one of the things that it talks about in the book is, as we look at assertiveness, having 5 skills that help us to learn to be assertive and to be able to communicate our needs. So I'm going to go through each of those 5 skills. I'll do just a little basic description of each one, and then we'll go back and give some examples and a little bit of a deeper look into each one. So the first of the 5 skills of assertiveness is self-reflection. And self-reflection is being able to look at yourself and being aware of our history. And I'm going to talk about this more in a minute, but like being aware of our patterns, of the way that we tend to receive people, attach with people, feel confident in our own skin, feel confident in our own need individually and as it relates to other people, and how that affects the way that we communicate and how we see the world. So the self-reflection's most first essential skill when it comes to assertiveness. I think a lot of times with assertiveness, you just think of like, I just need to know what to say, but you have to go deeper and get that self-reflection, and think about the way that you've always done things so that you can then look and use the things within yourself and maybe make some adjustments so that you can then get into those skills. So the first one is self-reflection. The second one is self-awareness. So where the self-reflection is, you're kind of looking back into your past, looking at the patterns that you tend to have created in your relationships or saw modeled maybe in your family growing up. Self-awareness is knowing what we actually feel right now. So tuning into the emotions we're feeling, about what we need right now and what we want to ask for. It sounds really simple, but it often is a lot harder than we think. A lot of times we're not even sure what we need. Sometimes we don't know, is it okay to need this? Is this even, should I just chalk this up to that would be a luxury, or is it okay for me to ask for this? So being aware of, okay, if I'm really thinking about myself and what really helps me to be my best and to function the best way I can in all of the aspects of my life, what are the things I need? And those are different with your partner or from your children, how much they help you in the house, or your coworkers, your boss, your friends, all of those different people, there's different needs. But being able to tune in to what we need, and then because if we don't know what we need, we can't know how to ask for it. Okay, third one is self-soothing. Now, this is interesting when it comes to assertiveness, but the thing about assertiveness is it's not aggressive talk. Assertiveness doesn't mean like, I am so angry and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of you right now. That's not assertiveness. That is reacting to your emotions in probably an unhealthy, much more activated way than you really want to most of the time. So when we want to think about what assertiveness means, and that effectively communicating what you need and what you want, we have to begin those conversations from a calm place. And so sometimes before having those communications, we have to practice some self-soothing. So that what that means is the ability to respond to strong emotions that we're feeling in a compassionate way towards ourselves, to soothe ourselves so that we can feel calm enough to communicate our needs rather than detaching from what we need and like, oh, you know what, I don't even really need this after all. I'm uncomfortable with how much this is bothering me, or being overwhelmed and not being able to communicate because we're just so emotional. Okay, the fourth one is self-expression. This one is, now we are talking about when we come to communicate. So being able to calmly and clearly express your needs and wants with confidence and be ready to take action, including efforts you're willing to make, or if you need, um, to be able to set boundaries, with people. So being able to express after you've gone through, so this really is an order. So you've gone through self-reflection, you've thought about your past relationships, your patterns, you've gone through like what you really need, you've soothed yourself to a place where you're calm and able to communicate without too many emotions bubbling up over the surface. And then now you're going to communicate in a calm way that people can respond with kindness. You are communicating in an open way. And then the last one is self-expansion. And I love this term because what this is talking about is as you communicate your needs and you're hoping the person you talk to will be open to what you're asking, you also want to communicate and be expansively open to what they need so that you can have a back and forth conversation, so that if they have a different point of view, that they feel like you're willing to hold space for that difference. You're willing to sincerely listen to how they feel, how they respond to what you're asking. And as you do that and they feel that compassion, that curiosity, that openness from you, that tends to open the communication so that you don't have to feel like in order to be assertiveness, I have to be aggressive. No, it's about being calm, being confident, listening, and being able to have a interchange of ideas and come to a place where both people can come away win-win. That's the idea. And if not, that you also feel confident that you can stay with what you need, compromise to a level that you are still happy with, or if that's not able to happen, be comfortable being able to set boundaries for what's going to happen next moving forward. Okay, so those are the 5 skills. 1, self-reflection. 2, self-awareness. 3, self-soothing. 4, self-expression. And 5, self-expansion. So what I'd like to do is just move a little deeper into each one of those before I go. So self-reflection, this is actually a really big one. And in the book I was referring to, she really gets into helping you to explore and think about what you grew up with, what was modeled in your house. So for example, if you grew up in a home where things were pretty like high emotion, people yelling, people arguing, people fighting, the way that you responded to that, what you learned from those patterns could be, I've learned that it's not really safe to express what I want. So I've told myself I don't need anything and everything's just going to roll off my back. Or maybe it's, I feel like I really, really need you to listen to me. I really need you to be here with me. So what we're talking about here is attachment styles that we learn from childhood. So, in the attachment style theory, you're talking about, there's usually three different styles. There's the anxious style, and that tends to be feeling like, I don't want to say this word needy, but that's a little bit more that style is like, I feel hesitant to express what I need because maybe I'll be turned away, or I feel worried a lot if I don't hear from the person I love. I need reassurance. I need to know that you're there for me. That's a little more of an anxious style. Um, an avoidant style is one of the things I was talking about, first of all, which is where you learn to not need anyone, and even to maybe not be very in tune with your own needs, because uh, that's not something that you felt safe expressing, or maybe that was really taken seriously as you were growing up, or you felt let down a lot or neglected. So you just learn to feel like I'm fine, and you want to be more independent. You tend to feel suffocated easily. You just want to like not talk about things and move on. That's an avoidance style. A secure style is where you feel like I'm good with time together. I'm good with time apart. I feel confident in my relationships. It's not perfect, but you feel not not wavering towards, I'm really nervous and I'm worried about my relationships. I feel like I always make more effort than the other person. That's that anxious style. Or gosh, won't everyone just leave me alone? I'm fine. That's more the avoidance style. A secure style is, I love connecting. I also am happy in my own skin being on my own. And these are patterns we tend to form when we're young with our caregivers. And then we take those patterns into our relationships as adults. And they tend to be pretty much identical. You can change and you can grow. And if, let's say you have an anxious style, you can take on more qualities of that secure style, and you can change and grow and practice skills to have a different attachment style. But that's some of the reflection as you think back, and which of these styles do I tend to have? Another part of that is something we call differentiation, which is um, if you if there's differentiation and then there's enmeshment. So differentiation is where you're able to be like, I'm good with myself, you're good with yourself, and we connect together, and we're also good with being different. So for example, if you wanted to, like, if you're taking a family situation, if you have a family that has high differentiation, that means, let's say, you have one kid that is like a total sports person, another kid that is like all about artistic stuff, and the parents are good with both, and they fully support each different thing. And that's a pretty differentiated, this is a really simplistic example, but that's a pretty differentiated picture where it's okay to be different. We don't all have to be exactly the same. We don't have to behave the same way. As parents can handle different emotions from their kids. All of the emotions are acceptable, not that you are okay with behaviors that are hurting someone, but it's okay to express anger to your parent. It's okay to express excitement. All of those things are safe. That's a differentiated family. And an example of an enmeshed family, or where there's low differentiation, would be, for example, if you're sitting around the dinner table and everybody knows there's certain subjects or certain emotions we're not allowed to talk about. So if someone were to bring up that taboo topic or relative or memory or something difficult, the entire family would look at them like, what are you doing? That's not what we do here. That would be low differentiation because one person cannot be different than everyone else. You got to keep that status quo. So that's a lower differentiation. And assertiveness really is an expression of differentiation. It's saying, like, let's say you're in a work situation, and you want to talk to your boss about, I think it's time for me to have a raise. Um, that is expressing something different than the status quo. The status quo, low differentiation would be like, we're just staying where I am at my pay level, hours. But you're saying, no, I I'm expressing to you that I feel that I'm ready for more responsibility. Like, let's say you're asking for a raise. You're asking, I feel like I deserve this raise. And then we can talk later about like some of the things you're willing to do for that raise. But that is expressing differentiation, expressing something that's different and being confident in that. That's showing I have high differentiation. Sorry, these are words that may not be familiar. But this is some of the reflection that's important to do, because if you have an anxious style, for example, of attachment, you're gonna feel hesitant to ask for what you need, because what if they don't like what I say? What if they don't like me anymore? That anxiety is gonna make it challenging to ask for what you need. So being aware of that and working through that is how you can build up your assertiveness. Okay, that was a pretty long dive into number one. We probably won't take as long on these other ones. Self-awareness is more, basic, that we've already talked about. This is just feeling what you need. And sometimes this can be really difficult. It's a simple concept, but it is a difficult thing sometimes to apply, to say, I need this. And it's okay that that's a need for me. I need to feel respected. And for me, that looks like you being on the same page as me when we discipline the kids. So that means, uh, if I have said like, hey, it's really important to me that we clean up after dinner together, but then when it comes down to it, my partner just goes and plays with the kids downstairs and I'm left doing the dishes, my needs not being met because I'm not feeling valued, I'm not feeling respected. This is some of the needs sometimes that you may feel like, gosh, is that really a need or is that a want? But tuning into that, these are my needs, and this is how those needs are expressed, in my opinion. Um, okay, so let's just move on to the self-soothing. This one's is a really important one, because sometimes it's really easy to react if if we're feeling angry, for example. It's really easy to react and say, hey, stop doing that. Don't do that. I can't believe you're doing that. That's not assertive communication. That is when you're not emotionally regulated and you're just kind of reacting. Assertive communication is being able to say, have compassion for yourself, realize like, yep, this is why I'm angry. So if, for example, let's say, and this is just going to be a really easy example. Let's say your kids did not bring the trash cans back in, and you got a foot of snow last night, and there's 2 feet of snow in all the empty cans that were left out on the street. So, uh, and you're thinking, and they're all at school, and you're like, I want to just call all of my kids, have them come home and yell at them and tell them why they're so inconsiderate. Like, this is how you're feeling. You're angry and these are the thoughts you're having. So being able to say, okay, I'm going to take a minute and compassionately say to myself, it makes sense that I'm angry. I asked them to put these cans away. They didn't do it. And so of course I'm upset. I don't feel respected. I don't feel listened to. And they just went off and did this. And now it's going to be more work to pull these cans up. So, but instead of reacting, taking a second and thinking about it, it's okay that I feel angry. And my kids were in a hurry this morning. They rushed off to their classes. And uh, so I can take my emotions, which is like, I'm angry, and also my rational mind. So your emotional mind, your rational mind, and which is they probably forgot. And I usually remind them, or I know they didn't mean to, even though it's not okay. So then you can bring your anger, your emotion, your rational mind together to what sometimes we call the wise mind. And that's the place we want to get to when we express how we feel. Now, that might include having your kids come home from school and put the cans up, but when you ask them to do it, it'll come from a calm, confident place rather than a reactionary, angry place. Okay, so that's the self-soothing. Self-expression is doing that, is being able to actually communicate in the way you want to. Um, in the book, uh, Julie Diaz Hanks talks about there's tends to be three styles that we express ourselves. And it kind of made me laugh a little bit because we've got the doormat, which I think we all know what that is. Like you just kind of let things happen to yourself. And then sometimes like you'll let it happen for a while and then you blow up. Um, and when you blow up, you become the second style, which is the sword. So instead of like just taking it, which sometimes that anxious attachment style and the doormat can go hand in hand because you feel like, well, I'll just I should just be kind. I should just take this because if I don't, then maybe they won't love me anymore. Maybe I'll feel rejected until you can't take it anymore. And then the sword, that style is I will be aggressive, so I make sure no one ever hurts me, no one ever disrespects me, and you'll know exactly what you're going to get if you do. That's the sword style. And sometimes we all cycle through all of these, and we can alternate between all of them. The third one, and this is the one we want to be, is the lantern, where we are holding our light up to illuminate our needs, be open to other people's needs, and to um, calmly and softly, as we're going to talk about this in a second too, express our needs. So a lot of times when we talk about expressing those needs, we talk about a soft startup. So for example, if you're frustrated with your teenager, maybe you want to start off with, hey, I'm so impressed by the way you blah, 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 blah. And I really appreciate that you're trying really hard in this area and this area. How, um, how are you feeling about how this area is going? And that can be the area that you're frustrated about. See how they feel about it. And then from there, you can express like, I'm noticing that this isn't happening. Um, and as they have felt supported, it helps start that conversation. And then you can say things like, hey, it would mean a lot to me if you could. So instead of saying you shouldn't have, which gets everybody defensive. Um, one of the other concepts that I really like that I use a lot is um, three things to remember. So it's the I feel, so you start always with the I, not the you, but I feel, and you say the emotion you're feeling when the behavior that's hard for you, because I think. Because what you do when you do that is you're expressing how you feel when this behavior happens, not telling them what their behavior does. You're just saying, this is how it feels to me. This is what I think when this behavior happens. So for example, so you want to just keep it just to your emotion. I feel discouraged or I feel sad when you don't remember that I really like whatever it is. Because I think that the things that are important to me must not be important to you. And so then I think I'm not important to you. So you're expressing what you think, what you feel, and giving them a chance to go to take that in, and maybe they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know that's how that made you feel, or that's what you would think from that." And then you can have more of a back and forth. So that's a really good way to start those conversations, and also let them do the same. And then lastly, um, the self expansion. This is such an important one with assertiveness. Assertiveness doesn't just mean like, I want, I need, you better. It means, like I said before, I feel this, I believe this, I need this. I would really appreciate if you would, it would mean a lot to me if you could you please try this? And then giving them a chance to do those things. And also giving them a chance to say, they may need to say in their own assertiveness, I'm not able to do that right now. And then you can talk about, okay, what can we do? What can we do so both of us can can get our needs met in a way that's enough? So being really open and expanding your perspective to include theirs, and then being able to come hopefully away with a win-win. One of the things that may need to come from this, and I won't talk about this today because that would be a whole other topic, but also can come from this, is setting boundaries, which you may need to do with people that aren't able to meet your needs, that aren't able to honor the boundaries that you've asked them to. But what you do when you have that self-expansion mindset is you are willing to listen to what they bring to the table and to their thoughts and their feelings. So I hope this gives you kind of another perspective on assertiveness, maybe a little bit of a deeper intuitive look at it, and how to look at the definition, and also to look inside ourselves, look at what we need, look at where those needs have come from, look at maybe some adjustments we can make to feel more confident, to feel more open to other people's needs, to calm ourselves, to soothe ourselves, so that we can calmly and confidently ask for what we need and want, and be able to communicate with love and compassion and respect and openness, so that all of the connections and relationships we have can be stronger for it. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. And if you want to explore some of these topics further, don't hesitate to reach out to us here at Cache Valley Counseling. Thanks so much.